Hey church, we are so excited to have you join us today on our week 2 conversation. We've got Pastor Tyler, the newest pastor on our team, to join us today. And if you haven't checked out part 2, we looked at the belt of truth and looking at just how important it is to not build on my truth, but build on God's truth. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to invite Pastor Tyler into this conversation with Amy, and we're looking forward to sharing. Yeah. So, Pastor Tyler, just to start us off, share with the church maybe a big picture, kind of a bird's eye view of spiritual warfare, what that means to you.
Yeah. So I heard it said once, and I forget where I heard this, but the most dangerous battle is the one you don't know you're fighting. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really relevant to this series. That's good. Because a lot of times we're not aware that there is a battle going on around us. And I think that illuminating that through this series is one of the most important things that we can do. Like spiritual warfare is a real thing. Yeah. And I think this past weekend you mentioned that verse that was written by Paul about like we're not fighting against things that are here and present, but our battles are actually in the spiritual realm. So it's actually a lot more relevant than I think we give weight to a lot of times. Yeah. And when we enter into the day, when you wake up, you're in a spiritual battle, and we need to recognize that.
That's good. Yeah. That's good.
I love that. How important would you say truth is in our daily lives?
I love the belt of truth,
right?
Because like truth holds all things together.
That's right.
Right? And the truth really binds things in our mind and in our soul. So truth day to day is of critical importance because if we're living in truth, then we can walk in confidence. Yeah. And the truth of the gospel is that we don't deserve Christ, but Christ came towards us. He came from heaven to earth, and we had a debt that we couldn't pay. And he paid that debt for us, and he freed us. So when we're walking in that kind of truth, that like puts a new perspective on the day. And when you wake up and you're like, I'm with God and he's a good God and he's for me, that gives you a level of confidence and just the ability to move through the day in a different way than you would wake up and say, what am I going to do today? What is today about?
Right. You know, truth is such like a high level concept, really. You think of like truth, and we looked at it about my truth and the culture. You can develop your own truth, really, but building it back on sort of the Spirit, the Word of God. Could you give us maybe like a practical thought of okay, let's say that someone in our church is watching or someone online and they're like, okay, I really kind of got sucked into like maybe building up my truth, but I want to move over to God's truth. What's some practical ways that we can maybe bring a high level concept of truth back into our practical daily life?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is scripture memorization.
Oh, that's good.
So, I mean, memorization is always like, isn't that not easy?
Right.
But if you take it, it's like how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time. And if you just take one verse a month, even one a month, that's 12 a year. Right. That's 12 more than you had last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you start building on that, then in 2 years you'll have 24. And it's crazy how you reference that truth in your day. Like, it is a practical thing that you can practice day by day by day, and you'll be surprised at how relevant it is to different situations throughout your day and week and month. When you start to memorize scripture, you're going to have a situation at work, at home, wherever you are, with your friends. You're going to be like, that is so relevant to this moment. So I would say the first thing that came to mind was really memorizing scripture and putting it to practice.
I love that. I think that's so important because it seems like, if you grew up in church, you had your memory verse, when you're young, and you kind of left that in your childhood. Right. But bringing that back. Yeah. We memorize sports stats or we memorize lyrics to our favorite songs. Like all of us know more than 12 songs, but learning 12 verses, I think I think it's a powerful application of truth.
I think so too. And if you are like me, there's a lot of songs that are set to that have verses that are in them. So it's an easy way for us to memorize verses. There's really a lot of groups that do that. So I highly recommend looking at songs. I like to sing verses throughout the day. Speaking of singing, I was thinking of my kids, and I know you have 3 girls. How do we as parents teach our kids how to walk in the truth?
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Well, one of the things that, don't follow my lead most of the time.
Okay.
We have young kids, like we don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
So, this is dangerous territory for us parenting. So
Yeah. If you had a video camera of me just like, following me around, it would not be a ideal situation. But okay, so one of the things that we like to do is go through the story, Jesus Storybook Bible with our kids every night.
That's good.
Like, not only does it minister to our kids, but it ministers to me.
Yeah.
Like, it really focuses the story on truth, on scripture, and on who Jesus is and how Jesus, from the beginning to the end of scripture, he's woven throughout the whole story. And the Jesus Storybook Bible has a really great way of like illuminating that part of the story in every story.
That's good.
I love
That's
that.
good. What happens if you find, and your girls are angels, but what happens what happens if you find them in maybe an untruthful situation? They lie or they deceive or hide something. How do you deal with that?
That's a hard one. So we have a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
And for the most part, just because they're at that stage, we try to bring it back to trust.
That's good.
Like, if we're not truthful, then how can we trust you?
Yeah, that's good.
And I guess like from a biblical perspective, is if God is truth, then we can trust him.
Yeah.
But that's a hard one, because I guess as they get older, maybe it's a little easy. It's never easier. In my mind, it'll just get easier to parent. But
wait till you have 3 teenage girls.
Yeah, we will at some point.
Yeah.
It'll be 3 teenage girls. I can't wait. But bring it back to trust.
That's
I
good.
guess would be.
That's good.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I think it's important for us as parents that we call out the good things that we see in our kids instead
Yeah.
of calling out. Oftentimes we want to say, "You're lying. You're
That's
a
good.
liar," and I think that can be a spiritual battle. So I like that. We want to focus on the trusting. We want to call out the good that we see.
Right.
We're truth tellers.
That's good.
How do you feel when somebody is lying to you? I mean, there are times that we all experience where you just know they're lying to you. How does that make the relationship? How do you feel about that?
Sometimes, it makes my hair stand on the back of my neck when you know you're being lied to.
Yeah.
But I think it's an opportunity to explore the why behind the lie. That rhymed. That was good.
That was good.
The why behind
Write
the
that
lie.
down.
And
Are they taking notes?
Yeah, seriously. And I think when you explore the why behind the lie, there's a deeper reason, and maybe there's something that you can empathize with. And I think that's what Christ does with us. When we aren't truthful with him, it's like when Adam and Eve were hiding.
Right.
It's like, why are you, or where are you? Like, he knew where they were. Right? But he wasn't asking where they were.
Right.
He was asking them to come out and to be a part of his story.
That's good.
But yeah.
We wrapped up our message, and we'll wrap up our time together with this kind of simple thought of living in the truth actually gives you true freedom. And so maybe to just talk quickly or maybe from your own experience that I know you've seen, I know we've seen, and I'm sure those watching have seen as well. When you are walking in truth, like, you're not going to worry about some of the different deceptions or half-truths or lies that you've shared to get there, and there's actually a true freedom. So maybe from your own experience, what does that mean to when you put on the belt of truth that you're able to experience the full freedom that God has for you?
Yeah, that's good. And books are written on this, so
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do an amazing job of articulating this. But for me, I guess truth does set us free in a way that we live authentically. So when you live authentically, two things. First of all, it allows you to be who you are.
Yeah.
And secondly, it creates an atmosphere in the room that leads to others being authentic too.
That's good.
And when you open that up, I think we're all surprised at the response when we admit our wrongs, when we haven't been truthful, and we come to someone and we say, hey, that wasn't the whole truth.
Right.
And it creates this sense of commonality,
Right.
because we've all been there.
Yeah.
And when you walk in authenticity, when you walk in truth, it not only helps you, but it helps others around you to live that way too.
That's good.
Well, thank you, Tyler, so much for being with us today. It's been such a treat to get to talk with you, laugh with you,
My pleasure.
and talk
Thanks for
about
having
truth.
me.
Hey, next week we've got Pastor Billy talking about the breastplate of righteousness. So join us next week for our weekly talk show. And don't forget, this Sunday, we're looking at the breastplate of righteousness in part 3 of the Armor of God series.